You'll host this one. Go ahead. Start with the topic.
I'm hosting it.
Yes.
Yeah, start with the topic.
Just so you know, I like to play devil's advocate on things. Okay.
That's perfect.
Great.
It's devil's advocate.
Good luck.
Great.
Good luck. That's perfect.
He's like, and I already fucking hate you, bitch.
All right,
You
I
don't
already
need to say anything.
great.
This makes for
You
good
would
TV.
be the Karen of the company. Just
Damn.
kidding.
Take
Checks
it away.
out. Welcome everyone to Temper Tantrums Throwing Tantrums podcast.
Just get into the damn thing.
Okay.
We're cutting the
So-
intro.
We're losing retention.
Cut the intro.
No one's here.
So
one's watching
the
anymore.
topic that we wanted to talk about today was a situation that happened at a performance we recently had. I'm not going to talk about the venue itself. I'll just talk about where it was located. So,
No,
No,
I was out of
he was
frame.
out of frame.
Oh, so we recently, it was really funny because I felt like it was in a movie. We recently did a show in Santa Monica. So it was a situation in Santa Monica. If you don't know the town or the part of town, it is fairly wealthy and fairly upper class. We'll say that. I was going to say something else, but we'll say upper class.
Okay.
So when it came to us, the show itself is generally contemporary, generally lyrical, and things like that, which is fine. We were invited to do this show, and not only to do this show.
Correction, we applied.
We applied and they said yes.
Yeah, but they could also decline.
They accepted us.
Yeah.
So we were accepted. I thought I was going to get pushback from her. Now I'm getting pushback from you.
The real Karen.
We were accepted into this show, not only to be in the show, but to open the show. They know who we are, what we do, because we opened the show last year. So
Just kidding.
we did, yeah.
I'm
So
gaslighting you.
you're always gaslighting me. That's the thing. When it comes to this show, we are definitely the only hip hop people in the whole thing. That's okay. It's not our show. We didn't plan that. They did. So, as producers of the show, they felt that we were great. When we got there, I'm going to say, this is my side of the thing, and this is where you may push back, and that's okay. Automatically, I was like, wow, there's this person who's giving us side eyes. And I was like, that's weird. We haven't even gotten to the venue yet. So that was an odd thing. I kind of noticed it on the side. Kat, if you're watching later, is my witness. The whole time I was like, what's happening here? We let it go. But I do want to talk about the main thing that was absolutely pointed at us. It was a bring it on moment, and we were the East Compton Clovers. If you guys know the little GIF, is it GIF? GIF. Is it GIF or GIF? Put it in the comments.
GIF is a peanut butter.
Yeah, graphics.
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 Yeah, it could be like a giraffe is with a G, and it's giraffe, not giraffe.
So anyway.
So
I'm gonna lose my mind right
it
now.
was it was the bring it on moment where Gabrielle Union does the whole walk by slow motion, and she goes, and that was me, and I was like, let me be the East Compton Clovers at this moment. We walked out, and people said, I didn't know we were in the ghetto, and that we were gonna get shot up by these gang members, and I was like, first of all, we're some beautiful gang members. Let me tell you. Look at this cast. We're beautiful, but clearly you have not seen a gang before because what? Like, what are you talking about?
Furthest away.
But because we were in Santa Monica, I'm sure we're a lot more urban than they're used to. Granted, we were just in our performance outfits, so it's just like hip hop swag in our own styles, and it's not like we all were matching and looking all like carrying a piece or something. Like we were just us, but definitely stood out. So I felt really odd, and I felt upset. I've come from directing for years, so people used to always say things about my kids, and I become Mama Bear, and I was like, I want to say something, and I didn't. And I told Emroy, and he was going to.
I absolutely was. Like, I'm gonna go
You
see
was
it.
like,
Where's that? He
Oh,
went
yeah.
into the room.
I went into the room.
Who was
I was like, who said it?
I fucking just
One of you
eyeballed
bitches,
everyone.
dude.
I just,
And it's unfortunate. And it was an eye-opening moment because a lot of the cast was like, I've never experienced that before. That was a first time, which is great. I love that that's the first time that ever happened in their life. Fantastic. It's not in mine. I'm quite used to it. So it was just unfortunate that it happened at a gig. But what about you guys? I mean, there's a lot of more incidents that happened. I can go into those later. But what did you guys initially feel, or what did you hear, or what did you?
I was also there last year, and last year I didn't. I mean, I was also just kind of behind the scenes with you guys last year. I wasn't really performing, so nothing was directed at me if there was any like hostility or negativity or whatever. I was just there with the camera. But like this year, this year felt a little bit more hostile.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
There's a lot of tension.
Excuse me?
Wasn't there something with Christina?
There was
Oh.
you guys can go in because you probably both. Well,
She
probably
told me.
you.
Yeah. Brandon, go ahead.
She told me after the fact. If you guys ever been a kid with your parents and like somebody's doing some stuff at school and you want to tell your parents but you know they'll go off and then you tell them at home instead of at school.
Yeah.
That's what she did. She
Yeah.
was like, I just want to let you know, like I was doing my makeup and I was doing my makeup next to Noelle and some girl walked in and was like, and then she walked out and then she walked back in and said, can you just move? And Christina, if you don't know her, she's super sweet. She's like one of our nicest, sweetest dancers. So she was like, oh, absolutely. I'm just putting glitter on. It's my last touches. I can scoot over and like share a mirror with her. And then you can just take this mirror. No issue. She didn't have to do that. She could have been like, soon.
Yeah.
I'm putting makeup on. But she said, yeah, absolutely. And the girl just rolled her eyes and walked away. And I was like, see, it's stuff like that. That I'm like, we don't have to be nice. But we choose to be. And I appreciate you all for doing that and just kind of smiling in people's faces when people are being rude or mean or disrespectful or discriminatory towards us.
Not Emre.
Confrontational.
That woke you up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's little things like that. And again, that's only one of honestly about 8 incidents that happened that day. So I don't know. What else? What did you guys think?
I mean, I was just gonna say I only went for Saturday, and I think you went to just kind of support.
Yeah, I
for
went to
Saturday
come support.
too. And it's funny because like everyone says like this is like a 180, but you also mentioned I remember you said there were different performers
Yeah.
for Saturday. So just out of curiosity, were those performers there still for
Some
Saturday?
of them weren't.
So I'm
some were,
thinking-
some weren't.
So yeah, I'm thinking that like I don't know, maybe they just had a bad day. I don't know. It's just strange. I mean,
You don't need to have a bad day to be racist.
I mean, you're not
to
wrong.
be
Facts.
judged like that.
Yeah,
Facts.
I mean, the thing is, it's like I don't know. Personally, I'm like, and I know like I'm the white guy, like
You're
but I'm
Filipino.
not that
Filipino.
white. But
You're
that's the thing. But I'm considered the white guy
Yeah.
of the group.
White
like
passing.
even though,
White presenting.
but
White
like,
present.
I am kind of like still, even though like I am still kind of used to that too, where it's just like I would get kind of stares just because I look up to. Again, this is another topic. I'm American Filipino. Some people think I'm just straight white. Some people think I'm just straight Filipino.
You're straight?
Okay.
That's another topic. Go on. Keep going.
Well, we're gonna take this topic and we're gonna.
But
this
it is interesting that like that people I just don't understand when it's like, especially when it comes to like dance. I feel like it should be a thing for everybody, and yet there's like those weird gatekeepers that be like, I'm the shit. It's like, no, shut the fuck up, sit down. You're dancing at it's a charity event.
Oh my god.
it's just
That's
weird.
specific.
Know where you're at. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why anybody has to treat it like that. I mean, if it's a competition, sure, cool, rivalry, whatever, why not? But come on, this is a charity. Why are we playing like this? Why are we trying to one up or like be dominant? I'm trying to be nice too. I'm not trying to,
One thing I wonder is like, so initially you said you felt like you were getting side eyes. I wasn't
Yeah.
there. I have no idea what happened. You were getting side eyes, and then you felt you like kind of gave a look back.
She didn't see me, I promise.
Okay.
She was looking at everyone else. And
Got
what
it.
was really happening was the Olympics were happening at the time. So they were all watching one phone on the breakdancing.
Ah.
She literally
It's all
was just
breaking.
in the corner and was just like,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, we're not even doing it. They're just watching a phone on the couch in the dressing room and you're already kind of
Yeah, that's
mad dog
weird.
at us. So it's like we're not even doing anything.
So the only thing that I can think of I like to play devil's advocate or just like wonder why people act the way that they do. The only thing that I could think is like possibly they were already prejudging and like that girl in her mind was already like judging you guys. But then once that judgment was felt by the group, then maybe even without trying to, the group was like, maybe having some like tension but within TT people, like of like, oh, we feel unwelcome, which is a shitty feeling, but then also can put up like a little bit of a defensive and like change the way you interact with people a little. And then maybe that it progressed from there and like got worse and worse. That's the only thing I could think as like, why would they just like get so, because some of the stories I heard too, I was like, that is so terrible. Like what human? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know what you're
Not
talking
excusable at all. I'm just like wondering, how did it progress to like that point is my question.
about. I think I know what you're talking about, right? This is that one. Yeah.
No, so that's what I'm saying. So that's a different
We literally just got there.
situation. The fall with the same girl that you're thinking.
But this, what do you call it? My, I guess devil's advocate to that was like,
Yeah.
maybe she just has a resting bitch face.
True.
Right?
And-
And her look is just looks like it's just judging.
She was
Because-
observing us.
Because after the show, I gave her flowers for the show for like her number.
Yeah,
she was like
really
the
good.
sweetest person.
But then
But
my
it's like-
question is she sweet because you complimented her?
Fair point. I
And
don't
it's
like her
like,
anymore.
but that's my thing. now let's go. No, but my thing is, us as Temper Tantrum, yes, sometimes we can be wild and they can be loud and in the way.
Energetic.
And by all means, I will be the first person to be like, yeah, you guys are being really annoying. But that day, I made for sure that wasn't the thing because last year we were a little rowdy. So that this year I was like, we cannot do that. And I made sure that we were not that.
Jamie?
So I'm like, so this is not even a thing. Like, I can see if it happened last year or whatever. But we just came in super sweet, very nice, very respectful towards any performer. And granted, again, we were the only hip hop performers, so we saw people who were dressed in like saris that were doing like a Bollywood piece, people who were doing folklorico and like stuff like that we were like, oh my god, I can't wait to see you. So overall, Temper Tantrum was just really open and welcome and just saying like, I'm so excited to see you. I think it was just really unfortunate that we had a moment, multiple moments, where we were definitely unwelcome. And again, we can misconstrue certain looks or certain things like that. But the comment of, I didn't know we were in the ghetto and that we were going to get shot up by these gang members was absolutely directed towards us. Because you're not going to say that to somebody in a sari or somebody in like a contemporary leotard, like, oh, look at this gang member. Like, that's not what they're saying. Like, it was definitely towards us.
Look at this scholar.
And again, I'm used to it. For somebody who's been told, I've been told to go back to Mexico. I've been told, called the F word because being LGBT multiple times. I can't even count on two hands in my whole life. All of these different things. It's not uncommon for me to feel whatever. I come from also a conservative family, so even having like tats and like dancing hip hop, they're like, oh, "You're so street," and I'm like, "Not really, like not really." So I'm used to that. I'm used to being the black sheep in general. But as a director, for years now, I'm very protective of, you can call me whatever, but like my dancers are like, no, that's not, that I'm going to say something. And it was really hard because it's a double-edged sword if you think about it, right? Because let's just say I do say something and I say, hey, you know what? That's really disrespectful that you said that and I don't appreciate that. Easily that person can be like, oh my gosh, look how ghetto they're being. And now you're the ghetto person. And I'm like, oh, you want to see ghetto? I'll give you ghetto. I'm incredibly ghetto. But that's the thing, because regardless, it's a lose-lose situation. You're going to win, So Emma and I I'm sure we'll have a conversation about it. We haven't reviewed it yet, but we will. And then message or email the producers.
I already sent her.
Just kidding.
And I told her, fuck you. Just kidding. No.
But yeah, we can review that separately and talk, whatever. But in those moments, when they go low, we go high, we just gotta smile and whatever, because that's what I told everybody. All of TT, if you guys remember, I was like, look, go on that stage and kill it. Just do you to the utmost amount possible that nobody can say anything other than damn, that was really good. Because they're not doing what we're doing, so we can't offer the same thing. So not only are we dancing differently, but we're like performing the shit out of it. And we did, and people came up to us after.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." People were also saying, "Hey, I'm a director for this company, but I have 2 hip hop dancers. I would love to have them train with you guys. Where are you located?" So like, it's stuff like that. That's the best revenge. That we can just smile and go, yeah, you want to train with gang members? We got you. Like, you know,
We got
so
you,
it's
fool.
like, come on.
It gives me the same vibe as like you're in a class and you see the people are trying to measure everyone out, or you could even see it in auditions, depending on your. Like you see the people who are flexible and they're stretching their leg past their thing, and they're like, "Oh, just warming up."
You mean you?
Hey, I'm doing it for fun.
For fun.
I just do it to stretch. My hips are tight.
It just. I mean, for me, this is annoying because it's just like it feels like high school.
Yeah.
It is high school.
It is high. No, you're right. It is
I see
high
it.
school.
I see it in the classroom.
And I'm just like, man, I'm like
Oh,
mid
purposely.
20s, and I'm experiencing this still. Like, what the heck is this shit?
Oh, purposely. If it's a contemporary program, I'm like, oh, really? Let me pull some Alice Combs here. Am I ghetto still?
Also, real quick, I love Bianca. Like literally, after we performed the second day, after we performed, we left the backstage area because we're a huge group and we should not be taking up that much space. We were literally outside, and she just goes, "Can we be ghetto yet?"
Oh my god.
Are we allowed to be ghetto now? I was like, "Man,
Now, don't get me wrong. We are a little gay.
just a little bit."
But, like I said, there's a time and a place. And it's also the context to it, right? It's a negative connotation to it. It's not saying like, "Oh, look at this. There's an urban dance company that we're not used." No, it's
Use it
oh.
in derogatory.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
I didn't
Yeah.
know we were in the ghetto.
Yes.
It's like, oh. But also you're already given this elitist kind of feel to you of saying like, I'm better than you. I probably went to a private school and you went to a public school and I went to like, you know, it's like that's not even the or like, oh, we're studio dancers. So we're obviously better than you guys.
That one's a
because
studio
you
dancer.
learn-
That's the same.
You know, but that's the thing. It's like we've been there before where the studio dancers are like, we've been in studio classes before. Where are you from? It's like, I'm not gonna lie. Both of us, we started dancing for years in parking structures or on the streets.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
DRV, we didn't even have anything for years.
Yeah.
Hall
You
of
guys didn't
Fame,
practice that offstage?
we didn't have anything for years. Hall of Fame, for the first few years, we didn't have a studio either. We were in a parking structure. So it's like, I don't even know what mirrors were. So it's like that whole thing is like, that doesn't mean that you are an elite dancer. We just come from different backgrounds. That doesn't, and clearly we're in the same space, performing on the same stage.
Yep.
So how elite can you be if we're both here at the same time? You know, like that. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Sure. I see it happen in the classroom all the time. I teach at a Title I school, so like 99% of my students are low-income families and communities. I'm teaching in North Hollywood, and we share our campus with a science academy, and these kids get bussed in because their parents have paid and they've tested into that science academy. We have different schedules. The Science Academy has lunch at this time and recess at this time. Our school has lunch at this time. So these kids do not interact with each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is that elitism. And the Science Academy kids will give my students like looks. And they feel it. We've had conversations in the classroom and they're like, yeah, oh, they think we're ghetto kids. They think we're gang members. And to be honest, my students aren't. My students have been jumped into gangs. And you're talking like 8th graders, I'm sorry, not 8th graders, 9, 10, 11, 12, but kids that have been jumped in middle school and now they're still in gangs. And it sucks because, Brandon, everything you said, if someone looks at me and says, oh, dude, you're just some gangbanger, aren't you? If you talk back, you just confirmed everything that they think about you already.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And so I always do my best to look at my kids for who they really are and say like, no, you've been dealt a bad hand and you had to struggle like this. This is the background that you come from. But that doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It's one of the reasons why I teach at the school that I teach at, because I think we all need to be seen and we all deserve that respect. And to hear that people that have had the opportunity, that have had the privilege to dance in a studio, to get the teaching, to get the learning,
Air conditioning.
haven't learned to respect an art form that's different. It's, yo, like, pardon my language, but like, yo, what the fuck? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to hold your tongue in a moment like that. And, you'd expect better of people. You'd expect better of performers. And then in that case, as an educator, I try to think and I try to tell my students, well, maybe those kids weren't raised right. Well, they haven't been exposed to that kind of thing. So in a way, yeah, you need to sort of look at it like, and I know it means you're doing the heavy lifting. It means you have to be the bigger man in a lot of situations, and you're going to get looks, and people are going to judge you, and people are going to belittle you, and they're going to think you don't deserve to be here, and you're fighting an uphill battle, young man. So it sucks, but hey, if you can do that and you can rise above that, you've got way more than those kids ever will. You have perspective, and you've been able to come from a place that they don't even realize.
Yeah.
So, hey, so to those dancers, to you that have been working in a studio, I don't know, like, I feel a little bad for you. I feel bad for you if you cannot have the perspective and just the compassion and the openness to look at someone else and look at someone else's background and to consider what they may have gone through. And we all do that. We all judge. We all do it. Like, don't think that just because, like, oh, well, I'm a street dancer. Oh, well, I came from a harder background. Don't think that means that you don't judge.
Yeah.
So we all have that.
Yeah. When I go.
Oh no, I know. So Steph, you also.
No, yeah, you go first. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, also this whole idea of people being ghetto. It's like you're saying, like, I honestly feel bad for people who get mad and angry that other people are having more fun than them. Like, I and I'm not trying to be condescending. It's just like, really though, like, I've experienced this. I was on a cruise and I experienced this with my girlfriends because we were like laughing and joking around and like being kind of boisterous and loud by the pool area. At the pool, at a cruise, like having a good time.
Oh my God.
And there were like people who genuinely, like, there was a few people, because if you've ever been on a cruise ship, people like look at you, you see the same faces a lot. And there's people who, like, when they would see us, be like, ugh. And then other people who loved us, who came up to us and was like, I hope my daughter has a group of girlfriends like you guys one day. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Thinking we're young. I'm like, this is my 30th birthday. Girl. I don't know what you're
Still young.
Still young. But like, I'm always so perplexed by people who literally get so angry and so judgmental towards other people who are having a genuine good time. Who I understand, like, don't be loud and disrespectful when there's a show happening. Like, you have to rein it in, right? But if it's like the tech rehearsal and you're in the dressing room and there's nothing really happening and you're joking around with your friends and you guys are laughing and stuff, like, is that ghetto? Is it ghetto to like have a good time? Like, I feel bad that you were raised in an environment where being loud and joking around and laughing and having and like cutting up shit is a bad thing. Like, is like, you have to, they feel like they have to be like this all the time. And I'm like, I've been in both worlds personally. And I can say, like, I like to take the good from both sides and both worlds. And I love being able to have a good time and enjoy things and joke around with people. I don't want to be like this in every single scenario of my life. Like, that is so boring. So like, why would you call someone ghetto gangsters because they're like having joking around and boisterous? Like, yeah, fuck you.
Also,
I am ghetto,
the way
I guess.
they're dressed too. Like I said, I'm sure. Yes, we dress a little bit more street, but it's not gonna come in like leotards. Like it just is what it is. And it's funny they say that because
I'm
somebody
sorry
did.
your ass hurts because it's being squeezed.
I'm sorry, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, like I know that like crotch rub is
true.
really bad.
Somebody did mention, like, and I told people at work, I was like, I went through a whole scene from like Bring It On, right, this past weekend, and one of the first things they said was, I feel like maybe they're just jealous of like how fun you guys were and the energy. So it's funny you say that. But let's go to.
So it's trying to go back on the topic when you said about just like people looking down like on a certain side. It's kind of
nice that you said you kind of look at both sides. So when I went to Minnesota, I actually had a very negative experience with like just drinking as a whole. Even before, I used to actually not drink at all. So when I went over there, obviously I was going through a dark time, so I did dip into it. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I used to judge people at the bar. All these guys are just a bunch of drunks. They always come here, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually got the time to sit down with a lot of these people. And these guys are all different races, freaking financial states, jobs, jobless. I'm talking to all of them. And I realized, holy shit, these are people. They're all people going through different struggles. And I actually found a big respect towards like smaller bar communities. Because they really, everybody knows each other. Everybody knows their circumstance. We all joke around at each other. I was over there. I was Asian, so they made a bunch of Asian jokes to me. But that was their way of kind of like showing like that they trust me. They know they can make these jokes, and I can make jokes back at them too. And I feel like again, it's kind of like unfortunate that a lot of people don't want to step over that other side of the line to see, okay, let's see what these guys are doing and see what we can take to, not only form yourself as a person, but also try to understand. So for me, like, that's how I kind of see it, is that, again, coming from a negative experience with any form of alcohol, now I've come to learn to respect it, found the line of like, okay, so this is good. This is too much. This person's obviously just a little too crunk. But but at the same time, you kind of understand every person's experience of why they do that and why they enjoy doing that. Some even. So I just thought it was something interesting, a little bit different. It's not necessarily like parallel. gang, but it kind of parallels the idea of like
just
seeing the other side.
Yes, seeing them for them and not just for what's you're seeing at the moment.
Yeah,
because I think in general in the current climate of things, people are very like. There's a quote that I really like that was I heard from Ted Lasso. It was be curious, not judgmental. And a lot of people are often just like are unwilling to let go of the judgments to learn more about the other side because they're probably likely scared because of it'll change everything they know. And it'll challenge what they think they know to be true. And then it's a thing that a lot of people think is that this is how it should be, when in reality, no one has a monopoly on reality. And then that's what makes it hard and makes people judgmental, is because they're not the lack of the empathy or the willingness to be empathetic or understanding to the person in front of them. So
it's baked into everything in our society. Like that idea is like the reason we have two political parties is like Democrats and Republicans. Is because like if half the country disagrees with half the country, then everyone's not idiots, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like if half the people in our country think this and half think this, then there has to be some gray area. Shit is not black and white. Like nothing is black and white. And if you think that things are black and white, you're gonna walk through life and struggle, because like you have to be able to see the gray area between any two sides of any situation and try to understand where people are coming from and understand why people think the way that they do on any topic. People aren't trying to be bad people by thinking a certain way. They think that they're doing good. They think that they're doing good for this. And these people think they're doing good for this, but they don't see that like they're doing good for this, but they're doing terrible for this. And these guys are doing good for this, but they're doing terrible for this. So then it's like they just have different priorities of what is important. Exactly. But they both think they're doing good. At the core, they think they're helping the world.
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing.
Because I'm trying to think of the other comments. And I think one comment that was made as we passed was, why are they even here?
That one.
Right?
That one.
So having somebody say, why are they even here? You're already coming into the idea of, you don't deserve a spot here. Like we've done blank and blank, so we deserve a spot here. But the idea is everyone deserves a spot at the table. And again, as a producer, if we were like fire juggling clowns, and then we came to this, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of weird. This is a dance show. Like, why? Like that would make sense.
A fire hazard, considering
how small the space.
But what I'm saying is like we didn't make the decision. Granted, I'm not going to say who or point out, but there was another act. Those of us who were there, that was very
Interesting.
interesting.
Oh my god. Okay.
It's like, not to be mean, but if you want to compare, like that was a huge difference. There was a very, very abstract. We'll say that abstract.
I'll cut it out.
performance.
Just give context to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll
I remember.
One clap.
They
so we
told-
know.
That was it.
Go.
Obviously, we're just too ghetto to understand the art form. Unfortunately. That's why we don't belong there.
So, with that said, that could be read across the world, of course. Like, you know, you don't deserve a spot at the table. We do this and that. Everybody deserves a spot, whether that's your experience, what you have to offer. Just because we didn't look like you, sound like you, dress like you, doesn't mean that we don't have anything else to offer. We actually have a completely different knowledge to offer or different experience as well for the audience. So I think if you approach life in that kind of way, that's just being a good human, of just like, you know, like respecting good people and different artistry, that we're not all going to be jazz contemporary dancers. Like, we have other things to bring.
And bet most of those jazz contemporary dancers would be like, the world needs to be more diverse.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Right.
No, we're giving
We'll
such
wear
not like that.
purple
Yeah.
leotards
It's
today.
the conditionality of
Like
things.
everyone in my jazz contemporary dance company needs to be diverse, but like we don't want actual diverse. Like that's just
Yeah, but, like,
it's
not
just
the ghetto
so-
But not the ghetto
Yeah.
ones.
That's
Where
the
did you go to school? No. What studio? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, so stuff like that. Let's see what other comments were made.
I honestly wasn't paying attention because I was trying to survive.
Yeah,
You were
that's
I
true.
was tired.
It's very triggered as well, though.
But that woke me up, and I was ready to.
Tussle.
That's the
You-
thing
it-
with me. Like, if
Go ahead.
I'm a person who I'm very shy, I'm very reserved. I don't really go into fights unless it's for other people, because I do have history of fights. I do have history of
Tight.
being sent to my principal for threatening a kid with scissors.
That's my child.
And it's not necessarily because I fought for myself. It's because the people who I end up fighting are usually attacking the ones that are around me.
Mm.
So I get to fights. That's why a lot of them stopped messing with them. With my sister, she was sexually harassed in my middle school.
Oh.
And the first thing I did when she came up and told me was grab like the thickest book, because I used to work at the library there.
Yeah.
I just grabbed the thickest book and I heard him say it, and then I went.
Hey, yo.
And
Maybe
I
we
was
should
like,
not admit
yeah.
to criminal activity.
Well, no,
We'll
it's
cut it
fine.
out.
It's still school. It's fine.
I'm a
Was
high
it a
school
Bible?
teacher.
In my school.
it's like the world history book. So it gets like
Yeah, we hit them back to ancient Greece.
You sent
You're
it
like-
to Mesopotamia.
It's in Minecraft.
To have like the idea of all this talking regarding like, oh, you know, we need to understand the other side. I'm like, I do that. I have that after I've already done it. Because I'm a person who takes. I sometimes I do choose my battles. It's not like I just go head on first. But I'm I'm also a person that I'm like, oh, you're in the ghetto.
You're being
I'm gonna. I at first I probably would if it was just 2 comments, but you said it was a couple
There
comments.
is more, yeah.
So I was just like, if I heard the 2 comments, I'd be like, okay.
About to see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to read the room?
I-
You wanna,
I think what's
I have very strong
There's
confrontation.
more plus than there are guests.
That's true.
That's true.
And I'm very feisty. I think that's where my Sagittarius comes in.
Ghetto, by the way.
I mean, I was raised by a mother who would fight with rings on.
Oh,
Yes.
that's badass.
Okay.
So I told my mom this before. I'm like, you're crazy. That's why I'm crazy. But I'm a
I got it.
conserved crazy.
Yeah.
So if like that's why if anything gets happened.
These are allegations. This is hypothetically in Minecraft.
These
I
are
mean-
all
These
just
Minecraft.
examples of stories.
This happened in
Oh,
Roblox.
yeah.
This is our D&D campaign.
I'm not ghetto.
This is from
I mean,
Roblox.
maybe I'm ghetto.
I'm not ghetto.
You're not really putting much of a case for yourself.
On a case by case basis.
This is where a lawyer comes in. You need to stop talking.
Yeah.
I'm very demure, very polite.
Very mindful. Very cutesy.
But even
Very mindful.
I don't wear a green cut crease.
I work in healthcare, so I have to be able to like consider the other hand.
Yeah.
Like I can't just like I'll in healthcare you like get a patient who obviously staying and you see the children too and you're like I can't make exceptions. I'm still gonna give you the exact care that I can provide for you.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. We can't have any of that. And that's why I'm like used to like seeing the other side, understanding the other side.
Yeah.
And it's always been a part of me to always do that. That's why but when I go head on, I go head on. Once I'm 110, I'm 110.
I mean, you gotta, you know, for people that can't fight for people, you gotta fight for them sometimes because it's like, I got bullied a lot in high school, especially when I was over across the board. Another story, but I bullied a frick ton, and I had no one to defend myself. I wasn't close with my older brothers at the time, so it's like I had to fight my own battles, and I learned that there's a lot of people who get bullied and they have no one to defend them. Their parents are not really for them, and it's just like, shoot, I gotta fight for these people. And it's just really sad because in this case we can't do anything because you're right, it's a double-edged blade.
Well, I'll be talking.
One of the phrases that sticks out to me is you gotta stand up for people even when they're not in the room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's a big part of like allyship, right? Whether that's for LGBT people, people of color, low income, whatever that is, like if there's somebody that's next to me that identifies as that and I'm like, yeah, this is my friend. And then when they're not there, I'm like, yeah, people are ghetto. Like, you know, like then that doesn't work. But if you're always fighting for people when they're not in the room, that's a true allyship. And I think that's what overall people struggle with. It's like really standing up for people and really showing that unconditional backing up, regardless of the situation.
Yeah, I've been mad dogging this entire thing. I was just
yeah, I mean,
why dogging me?
Everyone's like,
you guys are telling me the story, and I'm like, I don't know if you guys are seeing my face, but I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's upsetting.
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
upsetting.
very
The
upsetting.
day of the show, when I heard that, I was fucking dying
He
from
was
a
dying.
food coma.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to survive. I need to survive.
Because
And
you
I-
were supposed to take Noelle home after
and
the
then-
show, and then
yeah.
he was like, "Can
like,
you drive
Noelle, I
yourself
need
home?"
you to drive because I'm gonna knock out after the show. And then he tells me this, I'm like, this
He has
is what I
arisen.
needed.
It's very true,
Keep
actually.
coming to
I
say.
remember
He
was
walked
very- I was like, people said that they think we're in a gang and that we're ghetto. He was like, who did? He said, who did?
His hair
Fit there? Which ones? Show me. And I was like, no.
I fucking just walked in.
Beelined into the
Into the- yeah.
Like,
He's that parent. He's that parent.
that's
where
what, everyone,
yeah, and I was like, no.
he's that parent that like
Pull me
where it's
back.
just like it's like the smallest thing. It's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. No, where is the kid? Where is this fucking kid? It's like, mom, please.
You want to talk to my kid? Like, go ahead.
No, because you're talking about the event. And I'm gonna chime in with a
Yeah, so the hard part was, here's the factors. One, we don't want to do it because we're going to be seen as ghetto as well. Two, it's not our show, so, and it's not the producer's fault, right? It's the other acts. So it's like if we said something, we'd low-key ruin the show because one, it's their show. Two, we opened the show. So if we were like, you know what, we're not doing this, we already kind of ruined things.
Yeah.
And then three, what was I going to say? When it comes to, again, if you said it, we'll just be seen as that. It's a 2-day show, so we have to come back the next day and do it. And it was 15 minutes before the show started, so it's not like we had time to like cool down or blah, blah, blah. It literally happened on the end of everything, at the end of the house meeting.
Yeah.
15 minutes before the show, and I'm like, we can't. Like, we'll ruin the show for us as a company, for the show as an overall. Like, there's just so many factors that I was like, just take a seat, nod, smile, and we'll be fine. So go ahead.
No, it reminds me of something that happened in the classroom last year. There's a huge racism problem in high schools. So we got
In America.
yeah,
No,
straight up in
anywhere.
America.
Anywhere.
But we got kids throwing around the N-word like crazy. And I've got one young man who was in my homeroom last year who's part of ASB. He's part of leadership. Really, really bright young man. He's in honors classes and he's African American. And so one day, it's just bad. Like in all the periods, in all classes, kids are throwing around this word. You got Hispanic kids saying it, white kids saying it, black kids saying it, and my student was having a bad day. And maybe it was something else that happened. Maybe something else happened at home. Maybe something happened at lunch. But another child in my homeroom starts coming at him and saying, I think he didn't even use the N-word, but that had happened earlier. So now my students all,
Just like that build up.
he's just like, yo, I'm sick of this
Wound up.
crap. I'm sick of people belittling me. I'm sick of people disrespecting me. And so this other kid, like, I don't know if he like hits him or like maybe hits him on the shoulder. And so he's like, yo, why you being such a bitch?
Ooh.
And so my student fought him in the classroom. And, you know, like we had to separate them. We sent the one that called him a bitch. And what sucks is like, I know both kids. They're both good kids. They just, you know, just get energy. They just get riled up. And so they sent they sent that child down to the principal's office. I took my young African American kid next door and spoke to him. And instantly he knew what he'd done. Because now he's crying. He's like, oh my God, mister, I fucked up. I fucked up everything. I'm on leadership. I'm on ASB. They're going to kick me off. And because I guarantee he's thinking now all they see is an angry black man.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. You're just going to confirm everything that they think about you. And I just looked at him and I told him, yo, I'm not going to say his name, but hey, dude, don't worry about it. I'm not going to judge you on one mistake.
Yeah.
I know who you are in my class. I know what classes you're in. I know how hard you try. And sometimes you're going to have to deal with people that are going to think a certain way, say some crap, and they're not going to look at it like the way you do. They don't realize what you're going through. I know how hard you try. I know you care about school. And it was a great teachable moment because, and the fact that like, he's already battling all this stuff. He already knows what he's got to deal with. He already knows the reality of his world. It kind of goes back to what you're saying. Like, are you an ally outside of, when those people are outside of the room? And it's things that I don't want to say I expect people to understand because I can't expect people to understand it 100% of the time. But we want to try and do better. We want to try to realize that yeah, we are all fighting our own freaking demons. And we all have these obstacles that we face every single day, whether you're gay, whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're coming from a financially unstable background. It sucks. And I really wish people could just be a little more freaking understanding. You know?
Yeah.
I almost feel like, because empathy is a skill that more often than not is taught after bullshit happens. Like life comes tumbling down on you, or just you go to jail. Like I feel like that the skills like that are what should be necessary skills or classes that should be taught to young adults, especially to young adults, or even in middle school,
any school.
They're taught young.
Because I think one thing I did appreciate at the school my son was going to is that they had like you know how they had the music teacher, they would teach the kids about empathy, and they would talk about mental health. And I remember my son one day asking me and his mom, like, "Do you guys have anxiety?" I'm like I'm glad you're learning that, but damn,
Very aware.
so crazy.
God, son, I'm just sad, okay?
So, but it's like I appreciate the awareness on the topics, especially mental health, especially because it's like once you get into adulthood, there's just you never know what kind of challenges life is just gonna fucking throw at you. And you might have one life plan, and life says, "Haha, get wrecked, bitch," and it's something completely different.
So two things on that. One, you're always gonna have haters. Someone is always going to hate something you do, how you look, where you came from, the shoes you're wearing, literally anything. So as soon as you get that in your mind, there's always going to be some hater. It'll help life. But also, I work in healthcare as well, and I think one of the biggest changes that a lot of my patients went through, and I loved to see it happen, to be honest, humility, just punch, was when the pandemic happened, right? So when COVID happened and all of my like bougie clients lost their jobs and they didn't have insurance, I was like, yeah, I can totally help you with these programs. Let's help you get onto Medi-Cal. And they're like,
Medi-Cal?
I'm not getting on Medi-Cal. And I was like,
Medical's for the poor.
So I will never forget this conversation. There was this couple, mind you, I work in Hollywood. So my clientele or my patients are very widespread. I have some patients who are homeless dealing with addiction, and I have some patients who are celebrities. So it's all across the board. But this particular situation, I was like, look, you're struggling financially. You're not working. Are you working right now? And they're like, well, no, but I'm going to get a job next month.
Pandemic.
Oh, you're going to get a job next month? Yeah, okay. What's the job? Well, I don't know yet, but I'm going to get hired next month.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so you know you're going to get hired next month? Well, I have to. I'm like, okay. So you don't have a job. You're just hoping to get a job by next month. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so as of now, you have zero income. Is that correct? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So you qualify for Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid if you guys aren't in California.
Yeah.
So Medicaid. And they're like, no, I'm not doing that. And then the partner came over and was like, what's this? I was like, this is documents on how to get everything started for Medicaid. And they're like, you can keep them because we're not going to do that. Because Medicaid is for like people who are poor and who need welfare. I'm like, are you working as well? They're like, well, we're both not working. I'm like, then you have zero income. Like I get it. It's a hard concept to grasp that you at one point were working, making money, and now you're not. And that's okay. But it's to prove like everyone goes through hardships.
Yeah.
It's not a race thing or an age thing. Hardships are life. And at some point, that person was, the humility, I'm telling you, was punching them of like, shit, I'm in the same boat as the people that I talk shit about because of my situation, right? I'm in the ghetto boat, right? And it's like, that's not, it's literally just to help you. So I think that was a big thing that is connecting to all these stories here, the thread of like humility, of respect, and just being a good human overall, of like, how do we respect and show love and appreciation for somebody who doesn't look like me.
But I also just want to point out that like all this stuff that you're hearing, like racism or any hardship, happens abroad too. I can promise you that the exact same thing. It's just, I will say, I feel like U.S. cracks down on that a lot harder and publicizes it, so we look like we're kind of like the main target of the world of like fighting against racism kind of deal. But the reality is, it's a lot of Europe is bad. Asia's probably worse.
It's worse.
So like I'm not
into
pointing
that
to
in the
saying like
video.
the whole world is messed up. But what I'm trying to bring the point is that like it's everywhere. But again, the key word is really humility. It's really trying to like try not to put yourself with the crowd that's not helping. It's just not helping anybody.
Yeah,
it's just not. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping them. If anything, you're just being a pest almost. As sad as weird as it sounds.
So my thing is, I always say your tribe is your vibe. So once you find a good tribe of people who you can connect to and relate to and be like, yo, I like that.
Is that a CEO?
Do that. No, your tribe is your vibe. But I will absolutely say, to end this, I was the girl from Bring It On when it all happened of like, you've been touched by an angel. And I walked away.